Hi everyone! For those who doesn't know me yet, my name is Marilyn Quintana. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and today we are going to talk about the costs to apply for a visa to study in Canada. But before we jump into the topic, please subscribe to our channel, click on the little bell right below so you can receive notifications of new videos, and please feel free to send us comments, ideas, or suggestions of new videos, okay? So let's talk about costs, one of the most wanted topics for everybody that wants to come to Canada. How much money do you really need to come to study in Canada? The first thing that I want to remind you guys that unfortunately the minimum requirements that the Government of Canada website says, it is far from real. You need a way more money that is mentioned there to study in Canada. The first thing that you have to consider, it is the cost of your school, and if you are coming to study 1 year, 2 years, even though the Government of Canada for visa purposes only require the first year of tuition, they do take into consideration the provision of funds you have for the remaining time of study. So if you're coming to a longer time, you have to also show more money. Okay, so even though the government only asks for the first year, you have to consider the other years that you may study to increase your proof of funds demonstrated in your application. One course of studies in Canada at a college or university usually costs an average of $12,000 to $22,000 per year. This is an average. There are some design programs, for example, that may be more expensive, and I would say if you choose a private school that does not qualify for a post-graduation work permit, for example, you can find as cheap as $5,000 to $6,000 per year. So there are some very cheap options as well. So make sure you have the cost for the first year entirely and a percentage at least of the remaining years if you are studying more than 1 year, okay? The other cost that the government takes into consideration is the cost of travel. You have to make sure that you have money to come to Canada, for example, covering the flight tickets and also to return to Canada. And on average, we have to consider between $1,500 to $2,000 for flight expenses per person, okay? So if you're a family of one, just $2,000. If for a family of 4, I would say $6,000 at least for you to present as available for your flight for you to return to your home country by completion of our studies. And as you may know, you may be able to work in Canada part-time. Your spouse may be able to work full-time in Canada, but you have to show provisions to have the money to maintain your family and yourself without the need of working in Canada. Okay, so the government says that if you're a single student studying outside of Quebec, you have to show $10,000. If you have a spouse, additional $4,000. And if you have a child, for each child, additional $3,000 per child, okay? But to be honest with you, you need a way more money to maintain your family for the first year than the money that the government asks. And I do recommend for you to show that money in your application for visa. For example, if you are a family of 1, the government says that you need $10,000 for the entire year. But actually the minimum estimation would be at least $1,500 per month, which would be close to $20,000 a year for one single student to maintain themselves in Canada. If you are a couple, this estimation comes to $2,500 per month, so close to $30,000 for the year, okay? And I would add at least $500 per child for you to have money to cover your expenses and maintain your family without having to work in Canada. And remember, you will have the ability to work in Canada. You make the money, or at least most of the money, while you are working here to maintain your family, but for visa purposes you have to show that you have the money without the need of working in Canada to have a more successful likelihood of approval of your visa application. And something that's very important for you to consider are the costs to apply for a school, and also the government fees that you have to pay when you are applying for a study permit. So first, when you apply for a school, you have the enrollment fee, sometimes you have the registration fee, and you may have to pay an educational consultant to assist you into getting acceptance into a school. The consultant fees may vary a lot, varying from $250 to sometimes $1,500 to $2,000, depending on your country of nationality and the company that you choose to work with to assist you with your education acceptance, okay? Then you have to consider that most of the schools will require you to also present a language test in order to accept you into their program. And the English test, although is additional cost for you, it is very important for you to get direct admission, and it is cheaper than studying a pathway program to obtain the English results in Canada before admission, okay? So consider the cost, the proficiency test. You may also have to consider some prep course for you to train for the test and be ready so you don't need to take more than once, okay? When it comes to the application, the costs are very low. A study permit costs $150, and you also need to pay biometric fees that it is $85 per person or $170 per family. But the biometric fees, however, may become a way more expensive than this if you don't have a visa application center from the government of Canada in your city, and you may need to travel to another city or even to another country to get the biometrics done. So you have to consider the costs of that as well. Also, depending on the country where you are from or where you have been residing, you may be required to present medical exams. There is a list on the government website that describes what countries need a previous medical exam with the study application and what countries do not, and we are going to leave the link here right below. And if you need to do a medical exam, you have to consider additional cost of an average $300 per person, okay? The costs are usually in your own currency, usually an equivalency of that, but it is closer to $300. And also the same way for biometrics, if you don't have an immigration doctor assigned by the government of Canada in your city, you may need to travel to another city or even to another country to get the medical done. So this can increase the costs of applying for a visa study to Canada. So first, confirm if you need the medical exam, where are the medical professionals for the government of Canada located, and then you can prepare your budget to consider what's the real cost to apply for a study permit to Canada. Many people ask if they can just go to their own family doctor and get a checkup and send with the application. This is not possible. You have to go through the exam with a practitioner that has been appointed by the government of Canada. So you have to pay from your own pocket. There is no other way, unfortunately. Another point is the government of Canada usually knows if the people from your country complies with regulations or not, and this may change the approval rate of your application as well. I hope again that I didn't scare you guys off. Canada is a great place to study if you have a diploma from a Canadian institution. It is well recognized from anywhere in the world, and it is also a pathway for you to immigrate to Canada and have the chance to live here and have a better future for you and your family. So what I have to say is, even though it's not cheap, it is an investment for you. It is totally worth it. I came to Canada as a student and I'm so proud of it, and opened my eyes and helped me so much to get good opportunities here. And I totally recommend you guys doing the same investment for your life, because you know, money comes, money goes, And besides the investment, the knowledge and the experience of living in an amazing country such as Canada, it is priceless. That's all for today. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and make sure to leave your comment right below. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. See you around.